Happy Sunday! So I'm really starting to dig this whole Facebook Live thing, and I think it's probably because in part of what I wanted to do for this year was becoming Siobhan for a living. And for those of you who don't know, I did go to school for broadcast journalism, and I loved it. It was a great time. I learned a lot of valuable things, and I got to do a lot of on-camera work. But the thing that I never really loved was it never got to be about what I wanted to write, because anytime you work for somebody else, obviously you're going to come into conflict with if they want you to go write a story or, you know, be the videographer for a story about pollution and smog in your neighborhood. You're going to do it, but you might not necessarily love it. It might not necessarily be anything that you feel like doing in your life. And that was kind of one of the things that really deterred me from ever wanting to continue with the journalism, is because I thought, how fucking boring is it going to be for the rest of my life that I have to go talk to people about things that maybe I don't even care about. So that's one of the wicked things about this whole Facebook Live, is that I get to sit here in my gym clothes talking about things that I actually care about or that are important to me and that I can actually be passionate about saying. So then when I'm having a conversation, it doesn't feel like it's really forced, because it's literally stuff that I talk about on a regular basis anyways, and now I'm just talking to a wider audience of people. So yeah, this is a pretty epic tool. So thanks for hanging out on Sunday with me. Again, I hope somebody is looking at some sunshine, because here in London it sucks. It's looking pretty gray and rainy, but what do you do? Dreaming about a beach somewhere. What I was thinking about today, and what has crossed my mind a lot recently, is setting intentions and dreams and aspirations, and how a lot of times not all of us follow what those actually are for us. So if you were to take a long look at your dreams, like go back to when you were a kid, and when somebody said, what do you want to do when you grow up? And you had these outrageous ideas. I'm gonna be an astronaut, I'm gonna cure cancer, I'm gonna do whatever. And nobody told you that that wasn't possible. That's the thing. When you're a kid and you say, I'm gonna change the entire damn world, people are like, yeah, you are. You're amazing. You're the greatest little creation. You're awesome. And you believe it. Except at some point or another, it's usually when you're going into puberty, you start to really manifest all of the things that other people have told you that become your self-conscious or your subconscious beliefs about yourself. So, you know, part of you always has this idea that it's possible, and that these dreams that maybe you said were there, but the longer society tells you to be realistic, and the longer the people who love you say that, no, you need to do this or you have to do that to be the best version of yourself, you start to really believe it. So if somebody said to you today, what do you want to be when you grow up? You're not going to say, I'm going to be an astronaut, I'm going to be a doctor. You're going to say, well, you know, I'm going to do the best things for my family, I'm going to have that stable career, and I'm going to work and save for my retirement, and maybe I'll go on a little holiday here. And that's cool, but like, God, you're selling yourself so short. And that's the problem, is that, you know, the longer that we listen to what other people say is possible for us, the more that we're going to believe it. And so many of us who have these grandiose dreams never have the follow through to pursue them. Not because we don't think that we're capable of doing it, but because we're scared, or because people want you to take, you know, the smart, the easy, the safe way towards whatever they think your dream should be. And it's usually from a place of good intention. Nobody kind of sets you up not to follow something that would be great for you, but they just want you to do something that's safer. So the other day I had a conversation when I was thinking about, like, why am I in London, Ontario? And I was talking with some people, and I said, listen, I think I'm going to move to Costa Rica. And my response was, okay, well, we support what you want to do, but maybe it would be a better idea if you moved back to Kitchener for a year, and, you know, yeah, you could work at a job and you might not really like it, but you could save money and then you'll have that security. And I was like, that's fucking bullshit. I don't want to move back and work at some shitty job for another year of my life just because it's safer than me hopping on a plane and going across Costa Rica and crossing my fingers and hoping for something to accumulate out of it. And that's what happens a lot of times. People give you the best advice and love from what they're capable of doing, but it's not necessarily what's going to be in your best interest. It's because they're trying to work from a place of reason for them to help guide you to something, because they're worried, because doing things that are off the grid or off the cusp isn't easy for people. And for most of us, we do what's safe. which is okay, but it's never going to lead you to that extraordinary place of your entire purpose and what you're possibly capable of doing. And so many of us operate from that place so that we never actually get as far as those amazing, grandiose dreams that we once really had. So if you're the kind of person who's going about your life right now with a job that maybe isn't stimulating, in a relationship that doesn't bring you the most amount of happiness, or you're doing anything in your life that you're not doing because it comes from a place in your heart that says, yeah, this is it, this is what I want to be doing, you're really, really selling yourself short. And so, as I've said before, I'm not really all about setting goals. I believe in setting intentions. So I do think that there is a little bit of a difference because, again, people set out goals sometimes, and then if they don't reach those goals, they become very disheartened and disappointed and feel like a failure in themselves. Whereas if you set an intention, it's something that you're actively thinking about and intending to do, because there is no real failure. The only failure is never to try. So if you're setting intentions and you're setting yourself up to do these great things, it might not necessarily work out the way that you assume that it's going to, but you've already set the motion in your head and you've kind of started to get yourself on the track to actually achieving that. So one of the reasons why people make these goals, their New Year's resolutions, as a lot of people call it, and I hate the word resolution because I'm not resolving to do anything in my life. I'm intending to do greater things. But I mean, if you ask yourself right now, what, if you have ever, was your resolution that you made? Maybe, come for January 1st, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, I'm going to be at a better job, I'm going to have a happier relationship, I'm going to be cool with my kids, whatever your intentions, resolutions, goals, whatever those things were, ask yourself now, a year later, did you actually do them? Did you cross anything off of that list, or did you even write down that list? Was that list always a place for you, or was it in your head and you said, yeah, this is the year, but I'm never going to write it down, I'm never going to commit to it, because that way if I don't do it, I'm not accountable. And a lot of the times that people fail when they make these lists, number one, if your goal has ever been to lose weight, it's statistically proven by January 13th, that's kind of when people fall off. That's when the gyms start to clear out again, because people have lost that motivation that they first started. And it's not because they didn't have really amazing intentions to actually do those things. The problem is when people make these goals, they create these ginormous, astronomical things that they're going to do, and they don't have the plan to actually do it. They don't have the step-by-step for how it could be accomplished, and they've made it almost so unrealistic in some circumstances for the timeline, for what's available, for whatever it is, that they kind of get flustered and overwhelmed. They don't want to do it anymore. So that's why a lot of people are like, no, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in January and best year of my life. Well, by January 13th, they're probably on the couch doing exactly what they did before. And one way to combat that is, if any of you are familiar or have read, there's a book called The Compound Effect. It's by a guy named Darren Hardy, awesome writer. I really recommend that one to anyone. But what he talks about in The Compound Effect is that he describes it as the pink elephant in the room. And the reason it's the pink elephant is because people create these elephant-sized goals instead of focusing in on the really small things that are achievable every single day. And part of the compound effect is that every single thing that you're doing, that tiny, minuscule thing every single day, is what actually manifests into something huge. It's not that grandiose thing that people assume that it's going to be to change their whole life. So part of intention setting is making it manageable things that you do every single day. So if your goal is to lose 50 pounds, then what you're going to start doing every single day is, okay, maybe today you're going to get up 10 minutes earlier and you're going to do some exercises of some sort for 5 minutes a day, and start there. And then the next day, you're going to do the same thing. And the next day, and then maybe, the next day after that is 6 minutes. And then after that, it's 10 minutes. And that's kind of how you build the momentum to actually create change in your life. And the problem is, a lot of people don't start off that way. They start off a little bit too big, or whatever it is that they want in their life. I want to save for my retirement. I want to have all this money. Okay, well, I'm going to start putting away $500 a month. Well, then they realize that that's not necessarily something that they're going to be able to commit to, and then they do nothing. So why not instead you say, okay, no, that $5 that I was going to spend on something ridiculous later, I'm going to throw it towards my saving, and I'm going to put it in a place where I can't touch it, and every single day I'm going to add that much, or whatever that amount is to you. It's just about making sure that whatever you're doing, it's a conscious thing that you're doing every single day. And that over time is what's going to compound into the changes in your life. It's not that big jump thing that people assume that it is that's going to make a difference. Another thing is about making sure you actually write it down. Tell other people about it. Throw it up on your Facebook. Make yourself accountable for whatever goals it is that you set for yourself. Because a lot of times, number one, people have these ideas in their head. They never write it down. They forget about them. It's natural. We all do it. But like if you don't write it down somewhere and make yourself accountable and see it every single day, you're going to forget it. And you're not going to have the momentum to actually kind of keep with whatever it is you're assuming that you wanted to do and set out to do, because it's out of sight, out of mind. So that's why behind me, this is one of the rooms in my house that has a lot of the things that are values to me and what I wanted to pursue and be active with for 2017. And I see it every day as a reminder to myself that this is what I want. And this is how I'm going to move forward in actually achieving those things. And then once you have this huge list of whatever it is that your goals are for you, a really good thing to start doing is you have these goals up at the top and you start working backwards from them. And that means that you're going to have your goal, and then you're going to start going backwards through whatever steps you think that you need to take in order to achieve those goals. It might not seem realistic to you right now, it might seem ridiculous, but if you start working out a way to do it backwards, then when you finally get to the bottom, that's going to be your starting point. So you can start, okay, like maybe my goal is today I wanted to go for a run. All right, well, from the run, I know that I'm going to have to put on my shoes, I'm going to have to get my stuff together, I'm going to have to eat some breakfast, wake up in the morning, and then you work your way backwards from that goal, so that way you have a really clear and concise outline for how you're actually going to achieve something. Because a lot of times people make these really awesome, amazing goals or intentions or whatever, but they have no idea where to even start, and then it becomes overwhelming, and that's why nobody does anything. So another really great thing that you can do is don't reinvent the wheel. That's huge, because so many people, you know, whatever it is that you want to do in your life, whether it's you want to make more money, you want to lose weight, you want to be better with your kids, you want to have a happier relationship with your spouse, don't try to reinvent the wheel and start from something out of nothing. There are so many resources to you that are going to make this possible. And that just means that pick up a book. This one's a really great one for the power of intentions and intention setting. And if you say, well, I don't have time to read a book, get an audiobook. That's one of the most incredible resources that I've found recently, and it's like double the amount of books that I've read, is that I'm in my car, I'm going for a run, I'm between doing something at my job, and I pop in my headphones and I'm listening to a book. You know, so be it's your book on better relationships with your kid, on money management, on whatever it is, pop in some headphones and listen to it every single day that you're doing something. Like, you have no idea how fast you're just going to start rolling through these, you know, these self-help and these self-improvement or whatever version of a book that you pick up. You're going to be a better version of yourself every single day in the downtime that you weren't doing anything anyways. So that's another really easy way. It's like, don't reinvent the wheel. Learn from other people. Learn from other people's mistakes and save yourself that time, because there's so many resources to help you to be successful, to kind of propel you forward in doing these awesome things for yourself, whatever those awesome things are, and you don't have to do it by yourself. So these are all huge, huge ways in which people aren't successful with their goals and with making resolutions or whatever, and you don't have to go on with your life that way. And then it's also about realizing that anything that you said that you wanted to do in your life, no matter how ridiculous you thought it was, or, you know, what has kind of pushed you back from thinking that you can't do it, why can't you? I mean, I might have had the goal that I want to be the president of America, and Trump beat me to it, but like, that's still, you know, it's ambitious, and it's like, even if I never become that person, because I'm not American, it's not going to happen for me, I'm at least propelling myself and opening up the expansion of my ideas and possibilities. And whereas a lot of people just, you know, they say, well, no, that's not going to work for me, it's not in the cards for me, I just can't. It's like, but why? What stops you from being different than me, from doing something? And another thing that's always been like a really interesting perspective to me is when people will say things like, oh, well, you're so lucky. It's like, oh, I'm so lucky. Yeah, you're so lucky, you know, you lived in the Middle East, you lived in Costa Rica, you lived in Ireland, you've done lots of traveling, and you've done all these things. And it's laughable to me, because it's like, that's not luck. That was hard ass work. you weren't there in all the times and all the planning and the preparation and all the shitty behind the scenes that nobody talks about on Instagram and Facebook, because that projection of who you are isn't as real as what's actually going on when life isn't so great. So it's like, no, it's not luck. There's no luck involved in that at all. I'm just as lucky as you are in anything that I want to do, but the difference is you have to really open and expand your mind and be aware of the possibilities that are there and then jump on them. So if you want to travel and that's your thing, stop telling yourself you can't. Start picking up those travel books. Start finding that $5 every single week that you can throw together to a fund that's going to allow you to do that. You want to lose weight and look a certain way. Start finding the resources. Listen to the audiobooks. Talk to other people. Extend your basis of information so that these things are actually feasible for you. Don't say it's luck that somebody looks a certain way or that somebody's life is a certain way. That's not luck. That is fucking hard work. And we all have it in us to actually do those things and achieve whatever it is your version of success is, but you just have to actually go for it. Because if I sat around on my couch all day in my gym clothes doing nothing, I'm not going to get out there for a run. I mean, yeah, I might be dressed to go do it, but that's not going to take me from A to B. And the same thing with travel, or the same thing with relationships, or whatever it is that your goals are. It's not just going to happen just because you really hope that it will. Like, it is going to take you getting off your ass and getting the motivation and propelling yourself to do something. And the definition of insanity is doing the same things and expecting different results. So if you keep doing the same thing and you're the same patterns all the time, of course next year is going to be the same way as this year. Of course everything in your life is going to be the exact same as it was the year prior, because what have you done differently? How is your life? Do you think somebody's going to magically just boom, here's that magic pill that we're all looking for to fix your relationship or your health or your finances or whatever it is that you're working on? That doesn't just happen. It does take an active part and an awareness on your part and the intention to want to do it. So it all starts with, first of all, wanting to do it, wanting to make those changes, and then making tiny little changes every single day that are going to add and compound onto one another, which is going to mean a completely different result when you look at your list next year and your intentions from the year prior and be like, yeah, man, I did those things. I made those tiny changes every single day, and now my life is so fundamentally different than it was the year before. Why? Because you did things to actually make sure that that was the case. Otherwise, you're just going to spend the next 70 years of your life doing whatever it is you're doing, and it's going to be the same mundane things, but you're going to call it a life. But it's not what you wanted. It's not what you thought you were going to be doing. It's not those aspirations you had when you were a child, because you let those die. You let those die with your enthusiasm. And the hardest part, I think, of recently when my grandma died and talking about her and her experience in her life was I knew that there were so many things that she wanted to do that she never did in her life. Why? Because she set limitations for what she was capable of. And it's heartbreaking to watch somebody pass away and those dreams died with them. It's been said that the wealthiest place in the world is not a CEO, it's not in the office of some, person living in the Middle East ruling it up. The wealthiest place in the world is the graveyard. Because that is a place of all of those dreams that died with those people, those untapped resources, that untapped potential that people never tapped into because they were too scared, or conforming with what society thought was the right thing to do, or being whatever version of themselves that they told them that they were capable of, and all that shit died with them. And we, the world, are lost because we didn't get those ideas, and we didn't get that, that enthusiasm, or whatever it is those people had to offer. So don't let that be you. Don't let you be the person who has their dreams die with them because you were too damn scared to get off your butt and do something about it. That's not the kind of life you want for yourself. That's not what you want to look at your life in a year from now and say, yeah, I did have these ambitions and I did have these goals, but I didn't do anything because it would have meant doing something that was maybe a little bit scary or out of my comfort zone. So if you're the kind of person who's sitting there right now and there's that job you thought you wanted, or that idea that you really wanted to pursue, or living a life off the grid, or having a better relationship with your children or your family or your siblings or your spouse, or whatever it is that you've been pushing off and telling yourself that you're not really sure you can do, or there's not really any place to make change, there's always something that you can be doing. And it's all the little things that you're going to do every single day. It's going to compound into something amazing, and making sure that you're not going to have the same experience year after year and call that a life. So my hope is that you've at least thought in your head for a second here that, fuck yeah, I have the capability and the enthusiasm to go do something different. I'm not going to sit around in my gym clothes and hope that somebody's going to take me for a run. I'm going to get out there and do it. despite how cold it is in Kitchener and London right now, and the fact that I don't want to get out of my house, I'm still going to go, because that's life. That's part of achieving those goals and setting those intentions and making sure that every single year is going to be way better than the year before. So I'm hoping that at some point on your Sunday today, you get out there, you do something out of your comfort zone, and then you start changing your patterns and changing your behaviors so that you get to become better and better and better and be an inspiration to other people around you. So wishing you all a happy Sunday. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you have all had a wicked weekend, and I will see you soon.